So 2019 was a phenomenal year for movies. I mean, we got the biggest movie of all time in Endgame. We got a 42-year-old saga in Star Wars ending. We got some of the best independent films I've seen in years, but that was last year. We are now in 2020, and that's exactly what I'm talking about today. My most anticipated movies of 2020. Let's get into this top 10 list. How's it going, everybody? Elliot here from Movie Files, talking about my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020. Very exciting year for cinema, and I'm excited to share my list with you all today. Those that are new to this channel, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell so you can stay up to date with my latest movie reviews, TV reviews, unboxings, reactions to trailers, giveaways, and all the fun things we do on this very channel. And I want to know what you all's most anticipated movies are of 2020. Let me know your top 10, your top 5, your number 1. Let's have some fun discussions in the comments below. No right or wrong answers. We're just talking about things that we love, and that is movies. So let's have some discussions in the comments below. Before I jump into my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020, sounds so crazy saying 2020, right? But I'm so excited to share this list. But before we dive into it, let's go over some honorable mentions, some films I'm very excited for, but didn't quite make the cut. So starting off the list of my honorable mentions, I'm going to mention Birds of Prey. Very excited for that. I won't give you the whole title because it's extremely long, but I'm very excited to see what the Birds of Prey have to deliver in February. An untitled Saw film produced by Chris Rock and also stars Chris Rock and has some other people in it. Very intrigued by that film. Pixar Soul, very excited for that. Godzilla vs. Kong, I know it's pushed back, but I'm very excited to see that film, what Adam Winhart does with that. Another Edgar Wright film coming out called Last Night in Soho. Can't wait to see what that's all about. Coming to America 2. Got my reservations about the film, but I'm very excited to see Eddie Murphy back, seeing him back again with the director and that he had with Dolomite Is My Name, and excited to see who all comes back in this sequel. And then No Time to Die, the last Daniel Craig 007 film, Cary Fukunaga and everyone involved there. Very excited for that film, but didn't quite make the cut. So now we're actually jumping into my top 10 most anticipated films, starting off with some horror, coming out September 11th. This is my number 10 film that I'm excited for, and that is The Conjuring. I love this title, the subtitle, The Devil Made Me Do It. You got Michael Chavez, who directed La Llorona last year. We don't have James Wan. Makes me a little nervous, but James Wan, I like Michael Chavez, what he did with La Llorona, and James Wan is still producing it. There's going to be some elements there, but we got the Warren family's back. And I love that this story is focusing on a real case that was investigated, which was a murder, and the suspect was invoked by a demonic possession in a defense, and that's his defense for his crime. So it's going to be a horror movie in a courtroom. So I'm very excited to see what happens there. And again, I've loved the Conjuring franchise. Number one, or the first Conjuring is one of my favorite films of all time in regards to the horror genre. Really enjoyed 2, and very excited to see what they do with this trilogy here. Coming out September 11th. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. So on to my number 9. We got coming out March 27. I'm talking about Mulan, a film that, a lot of these Disney live action films have been kind of hit or miss with the mass audience. I've liked most of them. Not all of them are great. I can admit to that, but I'm very excited to see what they do with Mulan. Very different take from the animated series, more accurate and more giving you more of what the folktale was about and the lore of Mulan. So very excited to see what they do. This cast looks phenomenal. The trailers have been phenomenal so far. Very excited to see what they do with this live action version of Mulan coming out March 27. That's my number 9 on my list. On to number 8, the very first movie kicking off phase 4 of the MCU. We're talking about coming out May 1st, Black Widow. Kate Shortland. You got Scarlett Johansson back in the role as Natasha Romanoff. You got Florence Pugh, one of my favorite actresses in Hollywood. David Harper, Rachel Weisz. The first trailer that we got looked really, really good. Very intrigued. Seeing who Taskmaster is, seeing what's the deal. Is Florence Pugh going to be the new Black Widow? Are we going to have this incredible post-credit scene? Or is there a reason why this is the first film in Phase 4? This has to be a reason why they're giving us a flashback movie that's taking place before Infinity War and takes place after Civil War. So very excited to see what they do with this film. Very interesting cast, great director. Very excited for Black Widow, and that is my number 8 on my list. On to number 7 in the horror realm, coming out June 12th. We got Candyman. Don't want to say it 2 more times. I don't want to die tonight. But it's starring Yahya Abdul II, who I loved in Watchmen, and also just a great actor in general. But the big person coming back to this movie is Tony Todd. Very interested to see what this film is all about. about? Is it a sequel? Is it a recreation of this character? What's going on? You don't have Jordan Peele directing, but he is the executive producer, so I'm very excited to see what they do with this more contemporary film in today's time. Going back to Chicago, what are they going to do with Tony Todd, and what are they going to do with is Yahya his son, and what's going on? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued by this film coming out June 12th. That's my number 7. On to my number 6. We got the sequel to one of my favorite films in the last decade in the comic book realm, and that is June 5th, Wonder Woman 84. I love the trailer that we got a couple months ago. Patty Jenkins back. You got Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, and Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself, is playing the villain in this film. I'm very excited for it. Patty Jenkins said this is a sequel to Wonder Woman in 2017, but this is just another story, another chapter. So it doesn't necessarily have to tie into all the stuff that we got 3 years ago, but telling its own story, very similar to a comic book. So all my faith is in Patty Jenkins. I love Gal Gadot in the role. I love that first trailer, and I'm very excited to see what they do with 1984 Wonder Woman. Very excited for that film. So before I jump into my top 5, definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you can stay up to date with my content. And like I said up top, comment below. Let me know what films you're most excited for in the comment section. Let's have some fun discussions down there. So on to my number 5. I'm a horror fan, and my favorite horror film of all time, if you all know me, is Halloween. Coming out October 16th, we got Halloween Kills. You got David Gordon Green back in the directing chair. Of course, you got Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie. You got Judy Greer coming back, and you have Anthony Michael Hall coming back as well. This is kind of bringing back the original cast from the first Halloween in 1978. I'm very excited to see what they do with the mythology and what they do with Michael Myers, because we're obviously getting a sequel the very next year in 2021. Halloween Ends. Can't wait to see this trailer. Can't wait to see what it's all about. I love Halloween. Again, Michael Myers is my favorite slasher of all time. It's my favorite horror movie of all time, so it had to make my list because I love Halloween. I really enjoyed what we got in 2018's Halloween, and I can't wait to see what David Gordon Green has up his sleeve for Halloween Kills coming out October 16th, my number 5 on my list. On to my top 4. Number 4 is a film that I'm very intrigued about, and I'm looking forward to see what the Eternals have to deliver for us come November 6th. You got Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Kumail Nanjiani, who is this looking crazy built for this role. You got Richard Madden. You got Kit Harington, who I'm very excited to see in the MCU, and Brian Tyree Henry. I love him because he's in Atlanta, and he's been popping up in some of the best films in the last few years with Joker and so on and so forth. He's a great actor. So Eternals, it spans over 7,000 years. We're introducing the deviants. I mean, I am very intrigued by this film. Everything I heard about it so far, it's big, it's epic, it's the most different looking MCU film so far from what I've heard, and I love this cast. I'm not too familiar with the Eternals. This kind of reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy of 2014. Like, there were some characters I really wasn't familiar with, but I love Groot, I love Rocket, I love Quill, I love the Guardians, and I'm expecting to love the Eternals as well and seeing how it ties into the MCU. And who knows? Deviants, Eternals, X-Men maybe. Who knows if we're going to get some mutants in this film, but I'm very excited to see what they do come November 6th for Eternals, my number 4 on my list. So now into my top 3. My number 3 film coming out March 20th. It's a sequel to one of my favorite films of 2018, and it is A Quiet Place Part 2. You got John Krasinski coming back to direct this film. If you all saw Quiet Place, you know he's probably not going to make an appearance. It might be a flashback, who knows? But Emily Blunt is back. Her kids are back. Noah Jope, who's becoming a really great young actor. We got the teaser trailer. We got our trailer that dropped not too long ago, the full official trailer, which looked amazing. Very excited to see what they do with this film in regards to how they're going to approach this. You got some new characters. You got a new surrounding. Very, very, very excited to see what they do with part 2 of A Quiet Place coming out March 20th. So number 2, one of the best directors working in Hollywood. My number 2 favorite director in Hollywood. He's kind of flawless at this point, and that is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. He is one of the few directors that can actually bring people into the theaters, just like Hollywood stars. Not many of them, but Christopher Nolan's one of those directors, like a Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Catherine Bigelow, James Wan, Jordan Peele. He brings people into the theater. I love that first trailer. John David Washington. You got Elizabeth Debicki, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Pattinson, Robert Pattinson, Kenneth Branagh. The first trailer looked incredible. It looks like Inception with a little bit of Interstellar, with a little bit of mystery aspect. It was dealing with time travel. I'm on board. Christopher Nolan. This cast looks incredible, and I'm very excited for it. So on to my number one most anticipated film of this year, 2020. We're talking about my favorite director, who I give a little bit edge of Christopher Nolan because he's a little bit more edgier. He has a little bit more rated R-ness to him. I'm talking about Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I'm not too familiar with the source material. I haven't read the book. I saw the movie that came out in the 80s by David Lynch many, many years ago. I don't remember much of it. But let me go over this cast briefly. Timothée Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Javier Bardem, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, and Zendaya. I mean, that cast is just blowing up. I mean, this is some of the best talent in Hollywood. Again, Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director. From Sicario, Blade Runner 2049, my favorite sequel of all time. I mean, this guy is just knocking it out of the park. Prisoners, I mean, Arrival, are you kidding me? This guy is a flawless director. Again, I give him a little bit of the edge of Christopher Nolan because he has that edginess to him. He can make a Sicario. He can make a Prisoners. And yes, Christopher Nolan is dark and gritty, and that's why I'm excited for Tenet, but it doesn't get to those levels of Denis Villeneuve, and I'm hoping that this doesn't turn up like Blade Runner 2049, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's gorgeous looking. It's, Roger Deakins, it's Denis Villeneuve, it's Ryan Gosling, and no one went to go see that movie. I know a lot of people didn't go see it, which is unfortunate, but I hope that this talent and this cast brings people into the theater come December 18th. This is my most anticipated film. I'm very excited. I can't wait to see our very first trailer of Dune. This is number one on my list, guys, and that's my list, my top 10 movies of 2020 as far as my most anticipated. Can't wait for this year. Of course, there's movies that I probably missed on this list. There's a lot of more or less, whenever I do these lists, those independent films end up making my top 5 more than the big blockbuster films, but I'm still very excited for the smaller films that I mentioned on this list, the horror, the action, the comic book movies, the sci-fi adventurous movies. There's going to be a really good year at the movie theater, and I'm going to be reviewing every single one of them that I mentioned on this list, and very excited to share my thoughts with you all on these movies. So like, share, comment below. Let me know your top 10, your top 5, your top 3, your number one most anticipated film this year. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all my social media accounts. Watch all my other videos that I did in this last few weeks, from my top 10 horror movies of the decade, top 10 comic book movies of the decade. I will be my most anticipated movie, like I just did today. I don't know why I said that. My top 10 favorite movies of 2019, my favorite shows of 2019. So I got a lot of top 10 lists that I just released the last couple weeks. So check out those videos. Thank you all for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.